Welcome everybody to this week's session with me, Aziz Gool, and the Accelerate with Aziz community. And thank you for taking the time to be here. I'm really excited about today's session. Like I mentioned in the group, we are going to do things a bit differently today. Because I've gotten some great feedback from some of you guys in the community, and I want to make these sessions as potent and as powerful and as impactful as possible. And in order to do that, we've decided to shorten them up. So we're going to try and get done in the next 30 minutes. And during that time, I'm obviously going to go over our theme for this week, which is sales. Right? And more specifically, all conversion happens in conversation. And we're going to look at a couple of different sales models. Hey guys, welcome. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Siraj, I see you there. Tasneem, I see you there. Welcome, guys. So yeah, like I said, this week's theme is sales, and all conversion happens in conversation. And ultimately, we need to make our sales. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to manage the thing here. Okay, this is interesting. We've got someone joining us in the video. I see today on Instagram. How's that working? Cool. So, as I said, all conversion happens in conversation, and we need to make our sales scalable in order to create predictable revenue, right? Okay, Siraj, I think you've joined your camera to the video. So I don't know if that's what you meant. Check it out. So yeah, so that's this week's topic, and it's the topic that has really been inundating both my mailbox and my conversations over the last week. And so I wanted to take you guys on a little bit of the training through it, actually. So I'm going to be, for those of you joining through the community, you're going to be able to see my screen now, and I'm going to share some of the stuff that I'm talking about. So just give me 1 second to pull this up here. There we go. And we are offer example. Sorry, guys, just finding the stuff here. Okay, big ticket sales. There we go. Let's share screen. Share. Okay, so like I just mentioned, big ticket sales are the key to predictable revenue. The reason they are key to predictable revenue is because A, they provide us with a much bigger average order value, right? So the initial transaction size is bigger, which is great from a revenue point of view. And then also, because the ticket value is bigger, it means that it holds more profit margin, which means that we can invest additional funds into marketing and further customer acquisition. So literally what this enables us to do is to outspend the competition. So think about someone that sells normal kind of commodity bottled water, right? At, let's call it 12 Rand a bottle. So he or she is maybe making that bottle of water, manufacturing it, producing it, distributing it, getting it on the shelf at, say, 8, 9, 10 Rand, and he's making 2 Rand on a bottle, right? Versus, let's use, for instance, Fiji mineral water, which some of you may know, may not know, is one of the more expensive water brands, because it comes from it's like melted ice from the Fiji mountains, whatever the case may be, which comes in at like, I think it's 30 or 50 Rand a bottle. And now you look at those two profit margins. And now, once you've made that transaction and you've gotten in that profit margin, you can literally outspend almost, 4 or 5 times the Fiji water versus that one bottle of commodity water. So you don't have to be, you have to be positioning yourself as a big ticket, a high ticket player in the marketplace. The person, the offer, the service, the opportunity that's getting the premium in the marketplace, because ultimately that's how you win, right? So now, obviously, I have a focus in terms of digital sales. And, I know that a lot of you guys here are in the kind of, more brick and mortar physical business space. But I think more and more, especially now after COVID, there's been an acceleration of digital transformation. And yes, for instance, in South Africa, in some ways, we've gone back to our old ways. We've, moved away from 100% remote. Some people are requiring the people to be back in the office. But from a sales and a marketing and a customer journey and customer behavior point of view, the reality is that, the buyer has continued to go online. The buyers continue to, go through the awareness and the consideration phases of the buyer journey in the online space. That is where they are doing product and service comparison. And so, yes, there will always be the place, for smiling and dialing, picking up the phone, knocking on doors, but it doesn't have the same reach. It doesn't have the same scalability. It doesn't have the same measurability. And wealth of data and analytics as is in the digital space. And so, I guess the question as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as a consultant, as a service provider that you need to be asking yourself is, do I want to work hard or do I want to work smart? And if you are someone that wants to work smart, someone that wants to not just be doing what's the flavor of the moment, but, like Jeff Bezos says, I don't want to identify the trends that are going to lift my business in the short term. I want to identify the fundamentals that are never going to change. And those are the things I want to invest in. Those are the things I want to build my business on. Those are the avenues I want to grow in. Because I know that day in, day out, year in, year out, decade in, decade out, those things are always going to exist. That demand is never going to change, right? And so we want to identify what are those fundamentals in the marketplace, and one of them that is not going anywhere is digital. One of them that is not going anywhere is understanding how to market, how to convert, how to sell high ticket items, products, and services in the digital space. I was speaking to someone the other day, a venture capitalist, and he was telling me that the online self-education and skills development learning space will be worth in the next 3 years north of $1 billion a day. Right? So that's not something that's going to change soon. Right? So either you are a business owner that's going to work hard in the real world and you're going to provide a service, or you are an entrepreneur in the digital space that is going to solve billion-dollar problems. And depending on what your goals are, depending on what your objectives are, depending what you define as success for yourself and your business, you need to decide which one you are. Are you a business owner or are you an entrepreneur? So in the online space, as those of you can see the screen share, right, is that you have to build a sales funnel, right? And a sales funnel, so lots of people use the words growth and scale interchangeably, right? But I feel like, as someone that whose mastery is rooted in communication, it's imperative, it's critical that you understand the difference between growth and scale, right? Because if you don't know, or if you cannot define the mission that is your priority, how are you going to achieve it? Right? So growth is literally driving revenue, driving sales by any means necessary. And for most businesses leading up to, let's say, $1 million, that growth is driven by sheer brute force and will, right? It's the hustle, it's the grind, you know. It's this idea of connect, invite, and propose anywhere, everywhere, as many ways as possible to get the volume, to get the reach, to make the sale, to get it done, so that you can keep the lights on, so you can pay rent, so you can meet payroll. This is growth. It's messy, it's hard, it's tiring, long days, long nights, and a lot of sweat. Scale is predictable growth. Scale happens when you identify a formulaic method, a formula, matchbox maths, that tells you, I put $1 in, A, B, C, D happens, and I get $4 out. That's scale. Predictable growth. Right? And so in order to get predictable growth, to get to scale, we need to put in place some kind of sales system. And often in the digital space, these sales systems are called funnels. How do I bring a lot of people into my pipeline on the front end, fill my pipeline with as many people possible? You know, like we used to have in our kitchen, one of those little red funnels, right? And you would pour the oil into the bottle using this little red funnel, right? So that's literally what we're talking about, like putting as many people as possible into the top, letting them flow through the system, A, B, C, from awareness to consideration, to preference, to negotiation. And then out of that narrow piece at the end, you get the most qualified, the most targeted, and the most eager buyers out on the other end that are going to spend, not spend, but make the investment with you, right, at the highest level possible, so big ticket, to get the best result possible, simply because they want to work with the best, right? And in previous sessions, we've talked about the different types of buyers you get: cheap buyers, difficult buyers, sophisticated buyers, players with money. The people you want coming out of the bottom end are players with money, right? And so this is what that funnel looks like, or an example of one at least. You know, this is, for instance, for a consultant. You're going to try to create value in advance, right? Bring that person into your world. The first way to bring that person into your world is to make a trade, right? And the value that you're providing to them solves a small problem that they have, provides a micro result, and in return, you are getting paid with their contact information. And that has a cost to it, right? That is called your cost of customer acquisition. And once you've paid that cost and you have that email address, you now have the contact details, the phone number, whatever the case may be. You now have the opportunity to be able to convert that person into a client and produce multiple transactions with that person over and over and over again. And if you've done this correctly and you charge the right amount of money up front, you not only are covering your customer acquisition cost and making a profit on the initial transaction, but every transaction you create afterwards with that customer, right, increases the profit of the customer at zero customer acquisition cost and maximizes the lifetime value of that client. And so that's why it's important that if you want to scale sales, if you want to create predictable revenue, you need to create a system in your business to do so. You need to figure out, like we spoke about in one of the previous sessions, there are 4 or 5 main ways that you can bring people into your world, right? Whether that's through paid ads, through content, through picking up the phone, through sending out emails. These are the 3, 4 ways you can bring people into your world. But once you bring them into your world, what do you do with them? Don't be like the real estate agent that, pays month in and month out to get access to this big database of leads and spends all the money, pays the cost of acquisition, but then never gets the return on investment. Because once you receive the leads, you do nothing with them, or even worse, you try and do something with them once, nothing happens. They don't respond. They were busy, grocery shopping at the time when they received your communication, or they were picking up the kids from school, or they were busy in the gym, and you never follow up again, not realizing that, those that have the maximum return on investment from outreach are following up anywhere from 7 to 16 times, right? So if the 1 or 2 ways that you're using to fill your pipeline and try and create customers, if you're saying to yourself, it's not working, I'm asking you, how many times have you followed up? How much money have you left on the table? Right? So the purpose of your sales system is to bring people into your world, to turn new cold leads into warm leads initially, right? So it's about taking someone from lead to prospect. So a lead is defined as someone who is simply a contact. It's a name, a phone number, an email address. That contact then becomes a prospect if your solution is a solution to the problem that they have potentially, right? And then you need to qualify them. What do I mean by qualify them? The acronym I want to leave with you here is called BANT, B-A-N-T, right? Do they have the budget? Do they have the authority to make the decision? Are you speaking, the person you're speaking to, are they the check writer? Right? Do they have a need that your problem solves? That's the N. And T, what is their timeline? What is the urgency? Next budget cycle, next quarter, next month, today, yesterday? Right? Because if you're not creating urgency, then if you're not creating a situation where someone has to make a decision, then you're going to fail more than you succeed. Because if you let someone walk away and say, I need to think about it, most times we just say, okay, I have some time, think about it, I'll follow up with you in a month, a week, a year, and we can talk again. But if you really think about it, those are just phrases that people say to get out of awkward conversations so that they don't hurt your feelings or think that they're hurting your feelings, right? And a good salesperson would use that. So just from a role play example, hey, Kato, welcome. So you have someone that says the prospect ends the call, and after you make your offer, they say, I'll think about it. And you say, okay, no problem. What is your availability over the next 1 or 2 days? So we can schedule a follow-up after you've thought about it. Now they think they've won. They've got out of the awkward situation. They put their guard down, right? And then they sort of give you the availability. And as they give you the availability, you circle back around and you say, and just so we're clear, what are the, 2 or 3 top things that you need to think about so that when we get back up on the follow-up call, I have the answers that you need. And so now you get to the real objection. You uncover the real plane, because prospects lie, right? They lie to not be uncomfortable. They lie to get out of the situation. And so it is your job not to manipulate them, but to uncover the truth and then find a way to support them to make the decision that is in their best interest. And so this is what happens, right? And so once you've qualified them and you've created the band, the budget, the authority, the needs, and the timeline, right? And you handle the objections, then it becomes very easy to convert that prospect into a buyer. Right? So one of the ways that I use, or one of the frameworks that I use and have learned from people that are running multi 7 and 8 figure online virtual businesses is what I'm sharing with you right now on the screen. And I call this the triple stack value ladder. Right? And so when you try and bring someone into your world, you must, hi Creative Content Collab, welcome. You must be able to deliver value in advance. Right? So just to reset the conversation for those that have just joined, thank you for joining. Today's conversation is about sales, how to scale sales, how to create sales systems so we can not just drive growth, but manufacture and engineer predictable revenue. And all conversion happens in conversation. That is the theme of today's session. So this is the framework that I use to create sales systems that scale. And so the first thing to do is to create value in advance, create a situation where you provide value in advance. And then on the back end of that, you need to put the law of consumption to work, right? So before people can invest their money in you, they must first invest their time in you. And so this is how the law of consumption works, right? It's about letting people spend time with you before they spend money with you. And once you put the law of consumption to work, so the rule of thumb is for every hour of consumption that is created, $1,000 can be invested. So if someone spends 3, 5, 10 hours with you, right, that is the value of that person once you monetize them, right? And then the final thing is the big ticket, right? It's the aspirational purchase. I was watching a video the other day by a branding expert, and he put it very nicely. He said, you know, if you look at Louis Vuitton, you know, all the ads are about the top shelf products, right? Kate knows what I'm talking about. What were we talking about the other day? The not the suitcases, you know, the Louis Vuitton, the big suitcases that they have, and you know, amazing luggage. Thank you. The luggage, and you know, the Birkin bags and these things. But if you actually look at the financials, if you look at the sales, the majority of the sales happen on belts and wallets and purses, right? So they are creating the aspiration by marketing the big ticket, but the big ticket is allowing them to monetize everything else underneath. And so if you take nothing away from today's session, remember, you're not selling the thing. It's the thing that sells the thing. Right? And a pro tip here, and again, back to the Louis Vuitton example, is that, you know, if you sell the most aspirational, the most top shelf, the biggest, highest ticket item, if that is all you focus on marketing, you can then aspirationally and very easily sell down, right? Because into people's budgets. And what this does is that it allows you to ensure that you take as much money off the table as possible, right? Because they are investing at the highest level of which they are capable. The other thing this does is it creates certainty in the mind of the buyer, because it shows them the next level in the buyer journey. So they not only experience pain by only being able to invest at a lower level, they experience aspiration to be able to invest at the next level, where they can afford the trunk, where they can afford the Birkin bag, or the Bugatti, or the Pagani, or the whatever else, right? So we are not in the business of selling vitamins. We're in the business of selling painkillers, always, right? and marketing should be focused on pain, and sales should be focused on solutions. So this is the 3 steps that is the broad framework of creating a scalable sales system in your business, so that every time you have a conversation, you have the opportunity to create a conversion. So some examples of this are, for instance, so a great example here is you provide a product, right? So this is a value in advance funnel, right? So you provide a promotional product for free. So say you're a tailor and you provide bespoke suits on the Savile Row. And so you are going to provide a free offer where you provide everyone that signs up for this offer free cufflinks. And all they have to do is cover shipping. Except that you're going to make money on the shipping, right? So something it's perceived as free, but there is, of course, a margin on the back end, which assists you in covering your customer acquisition costs and your ad cost, bringing down your customer acquisition costs and covering ad cost. And then in the same way that we remember our focus is on creating certainty in the buying journey and giving clarity on the next step. So when we provide them with the cufflinks, we also provide them with a one-time offer or an order bump, right? Which turns them now from a opportunistic promotional buyer into an actual customer, right? And often the thing that works best here is very much related to the first thing, right? So for instance, I'm going to give you the cufflinks, and then in addition to the cufflinks, I'm also going to give you a monogram typing, for instance, right? It's related. And at that point, you can then make a second offer, which says, well, now you got the cufflinks and now you got the tie, but you're probably going to need a shirt too. And now you sell the shirt. And, or maybe the suit is the next sell and the downsell is the shirt. So this is all in an effort to, again, maximize the average order value, increase the profit and the lifetime value, right? Because if there's 3 numbers that you must focus on in your business, it is conversion, average order value, and lifetime value. If you want to break $1 million in terms of your glass ceiling, you must be obsessed with these 3 numbers. They are your mind, your most important numbers per department. So that's how value in advance works, right? Then the law of consumption model is, of course, about you providing ways and means, creating assets that allow people to experience what you do in different ways over and over and over again, essentially providing a platform for immersion, right? Or indoctrination for them to be able to come into your world and be immersed in your world and your brand and see you as you position yourself as the expert in your field, the go-to, right, amongst your community and peers, so that they don't see the competition. They see your offering as unique, and more importantly, they see their relationship and bond with you as unique because you have a unique way in which you communicate their own problem back to them, right? Like we often say, the thing that must go through their mind when they go through consumption with you is, how does he know? How does he know what keeps me up at night? How does he know what I can't myself put into words? Right? So that's what the law of consumption does. So the first thing you need to do is create some value in advance. Then you need to make a transaction, whatever that transaction price point is. Right? Then once you've made a transaction, you have a qualified buyer. Now your role and your job and your imperative is to immerse them in your world through the law of consumption. And finally, once they've been through the law of consumption with you, once you've created that exchange of time for value, now you can make a big ticket offer to them. Now they're ready to go all in. Now they're ready to invest in the intangible in order to get the results that they're looking for, because they resonate not only with what you do and who you are, but why you do it. Right? If you look at the journey of Apple and Steve Jobs, it started with why Jobs was doing what he was doing. It started with what he believed in. Right? Because people don't buy stuff. People don't buy people. People buy beliefs. So you need to give them a strong why in order to make them not only immerse, but invest in your world. Right? So yeah, that is essentially the things that I wanted to cover today. I don't want to overwhelm you guys. I know I said we were just going to do a quick 30-minute session today. So these are the things you need to focus on, right? All conversion happens in conversation. In order to move from growth to scale, you need to put in place a system to create predictable revenue. That system has three main components: value in advance, law of consumption, big ticket investment. Those are the three parts, all right? And if you want to get into the nitty-gritty and figure out how this gets tailor-made to your business, how the strategy gets fleshed out and customized to your needs, your offering, book a call in the community. We can schedule a one-on-one, or join Achieve with Aziz, our premium offering, where you can work with me one-on-one and I can help you and support you create that results and create that bespoke strategy that works specifically for your business. And for those of you that haven't yet joined Accelerate with Aziz, our free communities to support business owners and entrepreneurs on their growth journey and on their transformation from entrepreneur to investor, then please do so. The link is in bio. And we are live on School here every Thursday with our live Q&A session as we seek to accelerate your businesses, accelerate your results, and ultimately get you the financial freedom that you're looking for in the age of digital transformation and high ticket sales. So if there are any questions, you guys are welcome to put them in the chat. You can DM me after. You guys all have my details. Please put your biggest takeaways in the group. I'd love to see them there. Your money's worth moments. And yeah, I think that three of the things that I did want to touch on really quickly, I know we are running over, is in terms of sales. Like, obviously, some people have a natural affinity towards sales and some people don't. And that depends on your personality type. And so if you are someone that's not doing sales yourself, or you've maxed out your own capacity, the next step is recruiting a sales team, right? And something I was sharing with a client this week was that, you know, it doesn't have to break the bank initially. If you're just starting out, if you're in the early stages of your growth, you can actually get commission-based salespeople to come and work for you. And then, and when you, and the easiest way to do this is literally to go onto LinkedIn, create a job posting for commission-only based role for sales, and then, you know, interview as many people as you can. The pro tips here are, you know, you need to at least interview 5 people before you actually hire one. And once you do start hiring, obviously, because it's a commission-only role and because your business might be quite young still, my recommendation would be focus on volume, not quality, right? Because 10 people doing the sales 60% as good as you means you have at least 3 to 4 people that are doing the job 100% of what you're doing, which means they're 3xing your output. Right? And as we try to drive growth, as we try to build traction, we need sales and we need volume. So get that done. And don't focus on 1 or 2. Go 3, go 5, go 7, go 10. Build it as big as you can so you can get the results as fast as you can. And then once you start driving growth, once you start seeing that revenue at the higher tickets where you have more profit margin, you can then invest in better people. but start where you are and with what you have. Don't let that stop you. So that's the first thing. The second thing I want to talk about is the sales system, right? So you cannot have a sales system until everyone in your team can sell the way that you do. And that means you need to create a script. You need to take what is in here, what happens when you are in those conversion conversations, and you need to put it down on paper. And you need to formalize it in a tangible way. All right? And that is the core, that is the basis of your conversion process, is your script. Right? Because the script you can test, the script you can optimize, the script you can change. But if it's always in your head, it's not trackable, it's not improvable. It's because it's too fluid. And the final thing I want to say is about compensation. I was actually touching on this topic today, and 2 times actually early in the week. But when it comes to commissions, you know, in terms of what I've seen, obviously it's industry and offer dependent, but kind of a general rule of thumb is anywhere between, I'd say 5 and 15%, depending on you know, transaction value, pricing, etc., and how good the person is. And so that should give you a rough guide. And then the kind of pro tip that I want to give you is always make it top line, always make it revenue, because that's what makes it transparent. That's what builds a high performance culture. That's what makes it worth it for the salespeople, right? When you come and you start talking about hurdle rates and milestones and GP percentages, then it all gets very opaque, you know, then it all gets very malleable in terms of what am I actually going to walk away with? How much am I actually going to get? You know, so if someone is willing to come and spend and invest their time in your mission, in building your vision, in taking your growth to the next level, and is willing to do so on a risk basis and willing to eat what they kill, then at least give them the dignity and the appreciation by giving them a common top line. All right? So always remember, the more offers you make, the more money you'll make, and all conversion happens in conversation. And like we just said now about commission structures, don't get fancy, because fancy fails and simple scales. Right? We have a comment here from Yasin. Don't try and sell your product. Exactly, right? Don't try and sell your product. Your product should sell itself. 100% right, right? And this goes back to our training in the group about irresistible offers. You need to create your offer in such a way that people feel silly saying no, right? And so there are 4 parts to the formula, the framework, the combination that makes an irresistible offer. You must be able to give a defined result, right? You must be able to do so by making the risk as low as possible that it won't happen, right? So say, for instance, we in weight loss, and you know, we are a supplement company that sells lean tablets, right? So that's our product. And our result is, you know, lose 5 kilograms in the next 90 days. A defined result in a defined timeline. The risk reversal or your money back. Right? And then for the friction point, because that's the 4th part of the formula of the equation, it's by simply taking 1 tablet a day. No exercise, no diet, no plans, just taking a single tablet every single day. No friction, right? So no risk or low risk, low friction, defined timeline, defined result, a promise. Those 4 things make an irresistible offer. If you have those 4 things, your product will sell itself. If it's not selling itself, then you haven't communicated your offer effectively. Cool. So I think we'll leave it there today. Don't want to overwhelm you guys. I appreciate everyone. Thank you, Betty B, also for joining us. We've come in at the tail end of our conversation today, which is, all conversion happens in conversation. And, oftentimes my experiences of the most incredible conversions in my career never even felt like sales, right? They were genuine, passionate, curious conversations that sold themselves, right? And so make it your mission. If you're just starting out, to connect and invite with new people every day and start conversations out of pure curiosity, not because you want to make the sale. And if you do that for 30 days, for 60 days, for 90 days, day in and day out, just trying to be curious, trying to understand people's problems, identifying the problems that you can solve, you will make more money. You will make more conversions because your conversations will lead to conversions. And 100%, I think we've moved away. So Yasin here again is saying, when you sell something, ask the right questions and identify, because people hate to be sold, but they love to buy. And so, a lot of the traditional salespeople, they love to pitch, right? It's like, oh, I'm so great, and this is the features, and this is the benefits, and this is why you should buy, and this and that, and, wireless this, and Bluetooth that, and whatever the case may be. But people hate to be sold. It puts them on the defensive. They get feelings of, slimy green monsters in front of them. And so, but when you're curious, when you're genuine, when you're passionate, when you seek not to be understood, but to understand, that's a very powerful sales strategy. Cool. Again, thank you guys. Aziz Gool. Join the Accelerate Aziz community. Link is in bio. We're here every Thursday sharing our greatest insights to support entrepreneur growth and, take you to the next level in your business, of your growth, of your scale, transforming and supporting the transformation from entrepreneur to investor. Because like I said in last week's session, I prescribe to the formula that says the wealth triangle, right? Which says you must develop mastery in the high ticket skills of the digital economy, right? Copywriting, digital marketing, high ticket sales, e-commerce, these are the high ticket skills of this generation, right? Of the next wave of billionaires. And once you've developed those skills, once those skills generate you north of $10,000 a month, you can transform that into a scalable business that multiplies who you are and what you do, so that you can begin to buy back your time, right? Because initially you will be trading your skills, your time for money. And it's okay because they're high ticket skills, which means that you're trading your time for high dollars. Once you create a scalable business, you begin to buy your time back. And once you become an investor, you start trading dollars for time. And that's where we should all seek to get to, because that's true financial freedom. Not time for money, but money for time. Cool. Thanks again, guys. Remember, all conversion happens in conversation. See you next time. Bye-bye.
You done? You done recording?